Alrighty, y'all. So I am at my new place. I know it's been a while. I moved and got my garage and stuff pressure washed earlier this week, and everything's working really well. Put some new lighting up and working on the house. So thanks to Lowe's, they're doing some serious clearance right now, and was able to get these great lights for under $100. And so got a nice workbench and everything, and that'll be kind of my mower stand. So an old electronics cart, and I have a generator. Hopefully I will be getting to this week, and we'll get the video posted very soon because of the impending hurricane here about to hit the East Coast, it looks like. This actually came with the house, so it'll be an interesting to see. I know that the gas is very stale in it. It doesn't smell very good, so we'll get to that. But the purpose of this video is to get to, and of course I got a bunch of stuff for the house in here still. Put a belt on the Snapper riding mower that I have. The old belt is right here, and I was cutting grass with it, and it finally bit the dust. I knew I was going to need a belt anyways. So I've got the new belt here. Putting it outside just because I'm going to be turning it over on its side. But this thing was running pretty good, and I have like extra storage over there, which is great. And concrete to work on now instead of a dirt track. So that's even better. So I'm going to start with the Snapper here, since this is the purpose of this video. Kind of have to take this cover off, which I kind of screwed back on, but it's really difficult to get the entire cover off, but you can access it good enough by just taking the bolts off and getting to it that way. But I'm going to turn this over on its side because it's one of those mowers, and I've already disconnected the battery, which you're supposed to do in this situation, and take it out. And whenever you turn it over, just make sure there's no gas leaks or anything like that. So let me turn it over, and we'll see the underside. I was able to get the old belt off. It had come off over here around these pulleys, and so I was able to get the old belt off by not having to remove anything around the shaft or anything like that. So we're going to try and get it on that way. Saves a little bit of hassle, although it's a little bit frustrating to get around a bunch of stuff. So let me turn it over. That gives pretty much direct access to the belt routing back there, which is back here above the drive disc. And got my drive disc and clutch I want to eventually replace on this too, because it's a little loose and it doesn't really pull up hills very well. Then again, of course, this mower's 35 years old. But again, let's get back to the belt. I'm going to try and get it routed behind the shaft first. And you'll see this is actually the gear shift. So your goal is to actually get it in between the clutch and the disc here, which you can attain by pushing the clutch in and then changing gears. And I'll tell you what gear I've got. You can kind of get it around under the belt here by this mechanism moving and getting out of the way. And then you have access to the belt. And I'm pretty sure these are the only guides right here for the belt right here. And so let me get that routing, and we'll continue from there. So it looks like fifth gear is going to be your best bet. Just because it gets this clutch all the way over here and gives you the most clearance to get around. It may be easier to get a second person I'm going to attempt doing putting the belt down here and actually taking a yardstick, because my arm span is not long enough to hold the clutch down and feed the belt at the same time. But all you need to do is actually get the belt through on the other side of the clutch and on the other side of this gear selector to get it behind the shaft and the drive disc, so that you can route it up through there. So I'm going to actually set this down and try and hold the clutch in and get the belt in position and hopefully get it through there. Maybe stretch this thing out a little bit first. This belt seems to be pretty well made. I got it off of eBay for 15 bucks. So that's where I buy most of my stuff, if you don't have your local lawn and garden place. So let me do that, and let me set this camera, and all I'm going to be doing is pushing the clutch in as I do this. And actually, it looks like, as I learned as I do this, it actually looks like you can just push it down right here, which makes it a lot easier than having to push the clutch and try and use that yardstick. So that's in. Let me get it around the clutch, and we'll get up to the front of the mower with the routing. And here what I'm going to try and do is spin the clutch around, and hopefully it'll grab the belt and feed it back through there for us. There we go. Alright, so that's in through there. Now, I can feed it on the other side of the axle here. Kind of have to figure out what side what's on, because I've got it a little bit twisted here. So it looks like it's going to go like that. Of course, the inside is the side that's got the. Actually, it looks like this is a two-sided belt. So, well, it matters so much the routing on this one. But I would say the letters would be out if I had to choose. Just feed it through the guides there. And up through on the other side of that bar. And now what you just have to make sure is that the belt is not twisted whenever, and we will test that before we run it. So you just make sure that it's not twisted, and we're going to go on the front side now and kind of route it up there. So the next step, I've got the deck all the way down now, and we're going to take this cover off here. You'll have like 7/16" bolts that will be holding this in, and now we're just going to take this little cover off here just so we can route the belt. And it looks like we should be able to get it off. If not, we'll just kind of jack it around just to get it to where we need to get it to get the belt routed on. So let's take the cover off. So now you've got your mechanism here now, and you can see how it does. It will come around on this side of the pulley, because this is with the blade engaged. Come around on this side of the pulley, around, and then back, straight back. So put the blade off while we do this so that the tension is off. And again, we're just going to make sure that we don't twist it around as we run it through here. I think most of the rest of this can be done on the ground like this with having the mower turned around. So let's actually do this. Should be pretty easy to route it through here. Alright, so now we just got to make sure that we don't have the belt twisted. That's the biggest thing. Just takes a little force to get the belt through these guides, because those guides are there to serve so that the belt doesn't come flying off while you're cutting the grass, which is why belt tension is also important. I think that belt I had on here earlier was really loose, so that didn't help matters as to it sliding off whenever I tried to cut through thick grass as well. So alright, so that's through there. It's not twisted right there. So now let's actually get it through the back portion. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off of here for right now, so I can get it to the back a little bit easier. So I'm going to take this back off. When I get that back off, I'll untwist it, and we'll get it lined up back there, which shouldn't be too hard. But and let me get two hands to do this real quick. So I'm down here now. I got the belt untwisted. I just had to twist it a couple times, and got it back out here. It was easier to do the back, and as you can see, put them inside the guides there, so that the belt, doesn't come off or anything like that. Helps guide the belt. That's what they're for. Another tip, if you're just doing this for the first time on any general mower with putting a belt on it, is let the pulley be your friend. You can get it through the guide here, and then you can just let the pulley actually drive it around for you like that, which helps tremendously. And then I'm actually going to get a second hand here, and we'll put it through this small pulley, and then we will actually adjust the tension of the belt on this, which actually the tension looks pretty good right now. Maybe a little bit on the loose side, but This small one's a little bit more of a bear, as you can see. Just a little bit of patience will get it in there. There we go. So you can see the belt is relatively loose now, but you don't want it to be running while the pulley's being turned. And then if we pull it up like this, let's see what we have here. It's kind of hard to do this with two hands and whatnot. Actually looks pretty good. I do want to tighten it just a tad bit more though, to help prevent premature wear of the belt. Because you can see it can use a little bit of tension. The way that you do that on these snappers is kind of cool. You have this little, I think it's a 1/2 inch or 9/16 inch nut here. So you can see I've already pulled it out, but you can loosen it. You actually pull the whole front of the mower forward, and it separates the back part of the mower from the front part of the mower further, and it will tighten this belt. So let me grab my tools and we'll do that real quick, and then we'll get this thing started in a test mode. So it's actually a 1/2 inch, and so what I've done is I raised the deck off the ground a little bit so that I can actually get the mower forward a little bit easier than without dragging on the concrete. So let me get this, and we will let me actually put this on the ground, loosen this up, and we'll pull this mower entire front of the mower forward here. So you might can see where I had the old tension of the belt right there. I've pulled it out just a little bit. I might actually try and pull it out well, I don't know if you really want to pull it out a little bit more, but it's kind of a test and look. You don't want the belt so tight that it's actually going to be spinning while the mower's running, which shouldn't be at this tension. But again, we'll test and see. We'll tighten it up. Of course, that belt's going to loose over time a little bit. We'll tighten this up and see how it looks, though. I want to show you an indication of a too tight belt. I actually pulled it out too far. I can actually turn the engine, and you can see the engine turning whenever I turn this down here. So kind of tells me, because this is a direct drive here with the snapper, so yeah, most other mowers you have, but you can see that when I turn the mower on, it's actually going to engage the deck, whether I have it on or off. So I'm actually going to loosen this back up, and then we'll give it a test. So I just wanted to point that out before I actually undid it, to just kind of give you an eyeball of the tension of the belt. And finally, let me show you a decent belt tension. It may not be perfect belt tension. Again, I kind of learn alongside y'all as I do this. It's not a perfect how-to video, but hopefully it will be informative. But as you can see, I'm turning this. As I'm turning this, you can see it's not really turning the engine, which is kind of where you want to be. And then I'm going to engage the blade here. the belt is pretty tight. Got a little bit of play in it, but not too bad. So we'll give that tension a shot. Let me get the battery in and we'll crank this thing up. So I'm fighting the storm here, but I did a series of adjustments on the tensioner. I've got it kind of about where I want to, I think. It's still kind of not wearing, but I've got it to where it's actually not turning the belt whenever it's not running the blade, and this stuff is just worn, and so I don't want to loosen it any more than it is now, just because it's already got a little bit of a wiggle when the blade is on. Again, it's a 35-year-old mower, so it's not, things aren't going to be perfect on it, but it does a decent job for what it is. So let me actually get on here and turn the blade on, and we'll see how everything looks here. Thing still runs pretty good considering how old it is too. The governor's still a little bit off. I had it fixed right earlier, but take a look. You can see it's not turning anything. It's kind of the idea, and let's actually engage the blade. You can see that it's vibrating a little bit. So I don't want to loosen it anymore, but that's as tight as I can get it with it not turning the blade while it's running. These old snappers, it takes a little while for them to slow down. And there you go. And I really don't know how I can get to where the tension on the blade is better than that, but I think that's about as good as I'm going to get it. If anybody's got any advice about that, let me know. Because I've never really attempted that before. I'm just checking another blade height to see if it's any better. Just don't want to excessively wear this belt out just because I just bought it. But I'll give that a shot. Again, if anybody's got any advice where I could do to minimize that vibrating of the blade, and I'm all ears. This is a learning environment. I try and help folks that may need a little help, and try and get help whenever I need it as well. So training is a two-way street, I consider it. I know y'all like to see this old snapper here, and hopefully y'all see more mowers here before long. But in the meantime, I know this video has probably gotten a little lengthy. I do want to thank y'all for watching. I'm going to get this back together. I mean, it's very easy just to feed it back on with 4 bolts, so I won't bother showing that. But since I've already probably gotten close to 20 minutes on this video, but thank y'all for watching. It's always cool to get old mowers, keep old mowers running. Kind of glad I kept this, at least for the time being, because I'll probably use it here and there. Good backup mower if my Craftsman quits. So thank y'all for watching, and we'll hopefully get this generator running here in the next couple weeks or so.